Hello, and welcome back to Educator.com's Introduction to PHP course. In today's lesson, we're going to be continuing work on our web application for the mock store that we've been developing, and we're going to be integrating the material we learned in our last lesson on arrays. So in today's lecture, we're going to have actually 4 different versions of the web application store that we're going to go through. The first one, version 3.0, is going to upgrade from our last one, which was 2.1, and what that's going to do is we're going to create a new type of include file that is just a PHP file, and it's going to centralize all of our product information, like the item information, such as the name of the product, its image, the description, and so forth. And we'll see that becomes quite useful. After we do that, we're going to, when we centralize it, we're going to be creating an array in a PHP file, and so we're going to, in version 3.1, improve the readability of our application by making the array an associative array. Then we're going to, in 3.2, make use of a multidimensional array. And finally, in version 3.3, we're going to make use of include files again, as we will find out that there's another opportunity for us to use code reuse. So let's take a look at application version 3.0. So actually, this is version 2.1, which was the last version we went over. And as you can see, this is the store.php page. And it's the same as it was in the last lesson. And what you can see is that we have things like 100% cotton t-shirt and 42-inch LCD television hard-coded as links into our home page. And the home page actually is going to look like this, if you remember. And for example, if we click on 100% cotton t-shirt, it goes to the cotton t-shirt page. Well, this 100% cotton t-shirt phrase is hard-coded into the page. So if we want to change the name of the t-shirt, we have to change it here. And then because we use the name here on the actual product page, we have to change it here as well. So we're going to make it easier to do that by creating what I'm going to call a configuration file that's going to contain all of the product or all of the item information. So instead of having hard-coded values like this, for example, this is the store page. We've hard-coded all the names of the different products. On the item page, like item 101, oops, I think that one closed. For example, item1.php or 1001.php from the last example, or the last version, all the information about the t-shirt is hard-coded. The item number, the price, the name of the image, the description. What we're going to do now is we're going to create a new versions of these pages. And to start off with, let's look at the store.php, which is the home page. And if you'll notice, there's a new line at the beginning here that is a new include statement that says include catalog.php. And what catalog.php is sort of it's a PHP file that contains information about all of the items in our store, sort of like a central repository. And if we look at catalog.php, we can see that it contains 3 arrays, and we've created an array for each item in our store. Right now we only have 3 items, and we've called the array item and then followed by the items, the item number. So we have item 1001. And then in the array, in the same order for each of the different arrays, and these are numerically indexed arrays. The first value is the item number. The second value is going to be the name of that particular item. So item number 1001 has the name 100% cotton t-shirt. It has the price $14.99. Its image is 1001.jpg. And then the description that we're going to use is this 100% cotton t-shirt is built for comfort. And we have the similar thing that happens for both item 2001 and item 2003. So what that is going to allow us to do is, because we've included that at the beginning of our store.php page, now all of those variables that were included in that file are available in the rest of our PHP page. So when we go down here and we want to list the name of item 1001, we can actually use a PHP echo statement that makes reference to the item 1001 array defined in catalog, and we're going to get the second item out of that array, which happens to be the name. So if we go back here, we can look and we can see that item 1001, the one index refers to 100% cotton t-shirt. And what that's going to do is allow us to access that information. Now this is in contrast to, where did it go? In our last one where it was hard-coded. We just had 100% cotton t-shirt written in there. Now we have it stored in one file, and so anytime we want to access the name of that particular item, we can just access that array. So similarly, on the previous item-1001.php page, all of the information about that item was hard-coded. The name, the item number, the price, and so forth. Well, in our new version, we are going to add that include file again to the top of the page, which is going to make all of those variables and all of those arrays that we defined in catalog.php available in this script. And what we're going to do is we're going to echo the different values contained in those arrays. So for example, the item name is the second item we're going to reference, because this is the page for item 1001. We're going to reference the item 1001 array, the second element, which is the name, and so forth. And so down here we're going to access the item ID. We're going to output the price. We're going to, within this image tag, we're going to actually output the name of the image file, and that's useful for if we want to change an image file maybe from a GIF to a JPEG, we can just update it in the catalog.php file, and any product page, any page that uses that product's image, we can update using this array. And then also down here we output the product's description. So this was the old version, and then this was the new version. And we actually can even improve on this further. But before we talk about that, let's actually go ahead and look at, this is what the old website looked like, and the new website is going to look exactly the same, version 3.0. It's just going to be making use of these arrays. And just to verify that, we're going to go here and take a look at it, and you can see it's the same website. I think the name of the store changed because we played around with that in the last lesson. And if we click on each of the different product pages, we can see that all the information for that product is output. If we view the page source, we can see that all of that information about the item that was output by accessing those arrays in catalog.php has been output to the file. So we can improve on this even a little more, and that's going to take us to version 3.1, and we're going to make use of associative arrays. So let's go back here and go to version 3.1. Okay, now what we've done is for version 3.0 we had index arrays, numerically indexed arrays for each item. And what we've done in version 3.1 is we've updated catalog.php and turned them into associative arrays. And so what we've done, neaten that up, is instead of having to access the different values in this array using numeric indexes, which don't have much semantic meaning to them, we associate each value with a particular key that has meaning. So we're associating the item ID with a key named item ID. We're associating the name of the item with the name key, and so forth. We have price, image file, and description are the other keys that we're going to use in each of these different arrays. And so what that's going to do is it makes our code a little bit easier to read, because when we reference, for example, the name of item 2001, we're going to, using square bracket notation, see item 2001 array name with a square bracket with the string name on the inside. So it's going to kind of intuitively tell us, okay, we're getting the name of that, as opposed to before it was just the number 1, which doesn't have as much meaning. So if we go and look at the new for example, store.php page, we still have the include up at the top for catalog. But now, whereas before we had item, when we wanted to, for example, output the name of item 1001, we use this array in catalog.php, which is numerically indexed. In the new version of it, it becomes item 1001 name. And so it's a little more intuitive, and we actually have kind of can instantly grasp some meaning as to what the value we're actually going out and outputting is used for. Similarly, on the product pages, we still have the include for catalog, but it includes the new associative array catalog. Now, when we go ahead and output information about it, such as the name, its ID, its price, and image file, we're going to access the arrays in catalog.php using the string keys. And what that's going to do again is it adds a little more semantic meaning to our code. So we can look down here and know when we're editing this code, okay, here's some HTML that's outputting the phrase price and a $sign, and then I'm going to echo from PHP an array called item 1001, which sort of intuitively tells you, okay, this is probably item 1001 in the catalog, and then we're going to output a value that's associated with the key price. Likely it's going to be a price, and so it gives meaning to our script and makes it easier to read. And this website's going to look exactly the same as the last one did. We haven't changed any of the code, it's just we've used a associative array to sort of improve things. And we're actually going to take it one step further now. And for 3.2, we're going to make use of multi-dimensional arrays. And that's going to clean things up a little bit. And the way that's going to work is, let's go back here and close down some of these older versions. Okay, and go to version 3.2. Now let's take a look at catalog.php again. Well, this time we only have one array defined in here. We have it's called items, and it's a multi-dimensional array. Neaten these lines up. I don't know why they changed. And so basically it has the same content of the previous catalog.php, except embedded, instead of having three different arrays that we needed to reference using the particular variable identifier we assign to the array, we're going to combine all three of those arrays into one array called items. And it's going to be a numerically indexed array, and it's going to contain all of the information for each item. So it's going to contain actually this formatting is off, so it makes it a little harder to read. Let me just fix this real quick. So in the items array, it's actually going to have three elements in it, and the key for each element is going to be the item ID. So the key 1001 is going to refer to information about item 1001. And to each item ID, we're going to assign a value, which is an array that contains the name, price, image file, and description information related to that item. So if we go back and we look at store.php, we include catalog.php. Now the way we access things is using the multi-dimensional square bracket syntax. And we reference, for example, here we want to output the name of item 1001. So this right here tells us to pull up item 1001 from the items array and then get the name value associated with item 1001. And this is opposed to previous version where we actually had an array created for each different item. So item 1001 needed its own array created in catalog.php. Item 2001 needed its own array created in catalog.php. Now we simply actually use the same array for all of the different item numbers, and we simply add an additional sort of square bracket in there to refer to the item number in the multidimensional array. And if we look at the product pages, we can see the same thing is done. We have the catalog.php inclusion, and what we've done is accessed item one for the 1001 item number. We're going to output the name of the name associated with product ID 1001. We're going to output the price and so forth, and we're accessing it using that square bracket notation for multi-dimensional arrays. And you can see up here actually too that we've for the title, which we pass to, essentially gets in a way kind of passed to the header file to be output as the HTML title. We're going to set it equal to the name of the particular item. So before, we had done that in the previous examples. We dynamically set the name of each page. Now we're doing it using the array. And actually in the other two versions that we talked about, 3.0 and 3.1, we did the same thing using just the different syntax. So for example, in the last one, because we still had the individual item arrays, this is how we set the title. So one interesting thing we can do here is if we look at, for example, item 1001.php, we can see that we have this number 1001 output several times throughout the script. And so anytime we see code that's redundant like that, we want to take advantage of the opportunity to reuse it, because what that's going to do is eliminate the number of errors. Because every time we need to reference item 1001, we need to type this string, and that gives us, each additional time we do that, that gives us one more chance for an error. So actually what we can do is create at the top of the page, let's just do it above here, a new variable called item ID, and we're going to set it to 1001. And so what we can do now is everywhere where we have 1001, we can go through and replace it with the variable item ID. I use the search and replace feature to do that. And as you can see, what we've done is replace all of these 1001s that were referenced down here with item ID up here. So now anytime we want to update the item number, we only have to do it in one spot, not in this case 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different places. Additionally, because we're going to be passing this on, passing the name of the item on to the header include file, we're going to get rid of this 1001 too, and so we include item ID here. And what's key to notice is that because we use item ID in the creation of the variable title, we have to have item ID defined ahead of time. If we had defined it below it, then we'd get an undefined variable error, and the title would not be able to be properly output. So let's set that back to normal. And so we actually could do this for every single page in version 3.2. So for example, for item 2001, we can create variable item ID, and then we're going to go through and replace all of the 2001s with item ID, and we have the same thing as on the 1001 page. And we're going to go ahead and do that for 3001. And the reason I'm actually, there's an important reason why I'm actually walking through and doing this individually, and you'll see it in 1 second. accidentally replaced the original one. Oops, had an extra apostrophe in there. Okay, so now for item 3001 page, we define the item number up here. Item ID is 3001, and then we reference it down here in the body of HTML that outputs information about that item. Now, if you actually look at, after we've made this adjustment, if you look at item 2001.php, we can see that actually this whole file is exactly the same except for this number up here. And if we look at item 1001, the content is the same except for the 1001 up here. So again, we have another opportunity for code reuse. And so that's what we're going to do as we move on to our to the next version of the website, and the last version we're going to go over today, which is version 3.3. And what we're going to do is place all of this common text into an include file, and it's going to simplify our website again, because it's going to move content that might be in this case 3 different pages, and if we want to make a change to it, instead of having to change 3 pages individually, we simply just go and update the include file that we're going to create. So let me close some of these down. And let's go pull up the files for 3.3. On this version, we have the same exact associative array containing all of our items in catalog.php, so that has not changed. So let me close these. Store.php is exactly the same as before, except here we didn't do it on the last one, but we could actually update this. Actually, we couldn't do the same thing with the item ID because it references different items in this. So store.php is going to stay exactly the same. However, item 1001.php, which used to look like this, which has all of this common code here, is now going to be changed to look like this. It has a lot less information in it. And what it's going to do is it's going to take out the HTML that outputs information about the particular item, and it's going to put it in an include file. And we've created a new include file called itemlisting.phtml, and it's called .phtml because it contains both HTML and PHP code. So we've taken that and removed it there, and then now on each of our item pages, whereas before we would actually have this code after the include for the header file, we simply add another include statement for listing.phtml. Now, phtml is the item listing.phtml, excuse me, is going to reference this item ID defined in the beginning of the file. And as we can see here, we use this item ID as we had described in the last lesson. So item ID again has to be defined before this file is called, so that the variable is available. So now if we actually look at the 3 pages we have for our 3 products, item 1001, 2001, 3001, they're exactly the same except for the item number listed. So again, what that's done is that's consolidated our code into one spot. So if we want to change something, for example, like let's say that we want to place the image instead, well right now let's take a look at the web app. In version 3.2, which is our last image, our last version, for the baseball bat, for 1001, this is what our product page looks like, and we have the baseball bat above the description, and that's the same for the t-shirt and the LCD television. The picture is above the description. Let's say that we want to actually, now we decide we want to actually put the description above the image. So what we can do is now we go back to our itemlisting.phtml page, and what we can do is actually just take this image tag and move it below the description. And what that's going to do is it's going to put the image below the description in every single one of our product pages. So basically, anytime we want to change the layout of a product, of how the product pages look, we only have to do it in one file, in this one include file. So if we save this and we browse to version 3.3 and we go to cotton shirt, we can see that the shirt now is below the description, and it's done that for every single one of our products. And then likewise, if we decide we want to take it back, simply undo the change, make the change in one spot, and it's going to replicate to all of our different pages. Now when we go back, things are back the way that they were. So this is another example of code reuse using an include file, and we're going to continue to use that theme of extracting out redundant code and putting it in one place so that it's like you edit it once and then it has effects throughout different parts of the website in multiple pages at once. It increases the ease of management and your efficiency because you only have to manage one, basically update one file instead of maybe, let's say our store had 1,000 products in it, we might have to update 1,000 HTML pages or 1,000 PHP pages. Now we just have to update one, and it reduces the risk of errors because instead of having a possible 1,000 chances to make an error, we only have one spot to make that error. So that actually ends our discussion for going over the web application, the changes that we're going to make. And I just want to also give you a homework challenge for this course, or for this lesson. And basically what I'd like you to do is you can download the web application files and the new versions from the educator.com website. And what you should do is go through and look through the web application files, making sure that you understand what changes were made from one version to the next. You know, for one, we went from a numeric array to an associative array. Then we went from an associative array to a multidimensional array. Then we changed things to make an include file. So equally important as noticing the changes, I want you to try and understand why the changes were made and how they serve to improve the site, how they improve things as far as efficiency and reduction in opportunities for errors, and also just in code readability. And hopefully that will give you a better idea of the purposes behind why we're making these changes to the web application. So that ends today's lesson. Thank you for watching.